version of this presentation as sort of trends that brands are thinking about. And what I try to do is start off by setting and saying, look, any conversation we're having about content marketing, I want it to be in the context of how is it delivering something for the business. We don't make content for the sake of content, right? It needs to have a business purpose. I just happen to be framing this particular talk in the context of how content can drive your brand. And content is a great way. There are no men in the room, apart from myself. But has everyone heard of Dollar Shave Club?
Yeah.
Right. There was a time where Dollar Shave Club didn't exist, right? So we didn't even know that it existed. And then they actually used content. I don't know if you remember, there was a great video where the founder and the CEO happens to be a handsome and charismatic man, much like myself. And he is walking through the warehouse, and it's this kind of comedic sort of video where he's explaining what Dollar Shave Club is all about. And it was so popular that people, okay, we now know you exist. In fact, we know what you're about. And in fact, it started moving people very quickly up the brand arc as a piece of content marketing. So I love that example. It's a best in class. The second Fresh framework that I really like to use is to think about this concept of micro moments. So when you are creating content to play a role within marketing, how are you delivering it? Now, we're not necessarily, TV is a kind of broadcast medium where it's just putting it out there. But digital, and I'm focusing on digital and video content here today, gives us an opportunity to intercept or find ourselves inserting our content marketing into micro moments. So we used examples when we started off about like how you like to watch kind of amusing videos or sports recaps. So when you're watching a sports recap, you're like, I've got a couple of minutes before kids get home, or I have to go to work, or something like that, or it's the end of the day, you might pick up your phone or your tablet or your computer, and for 5 minutes, watch your sports recaps. And when you're thinking about this from a media perspective, as a marketer, what I ask my clients to do is think about the micro moments where they actually have an opportunity to insert themselves, right? So when you are searching for something because you're looking to find out about a mortgage, that's an opportunity for a brand like TD to come to you and say, here's a piece of content that might help you understand mortgages if this is the first time. So think about, a micro moment is made up of like, what is the user's intent? So what do they need? Like, what are they thinking that they need in that moment? What is the context? Where are they? Because if I'm searching on my phone and I'm moving around and I'm looking for restaurants, and if I say restaurants nearby, it will use, obviously GPS to look for my context. It will give me results near me, versus here are all the restaurants in Toronto. I don't need that. I want something in my area. So think about context and immediacy. So in that micro moment, we want the answer or the experience that we're looking for right now. So that's the idea of a micro moment as a sort of concept for media. So I want you to think about video that you watch on YouTube. If it doesn't attract your attention in the first 5 seconds, you can make a decision that quickly if that's the sports recap you want to watch, or if this is going to be funny, or if it is the YouTuber that you'd like to watch, or whatever it is. If it doesn't get your attention immediately, then you'll just go somewhere else because you've got myriad choices, right? So getting attention is crucial when you're creating content for content marketing purposes, or even advertising. Now, the way to do this, these are not hard and fast rules, but I've just got a couple of like tips or guidelines to sort of dimensionalize this a little bit more for you. So face is better than place. So a better way to get attention in the first 5 seconds is by using face rather than a scene. And this is interesting. When I work with automotive clients, every car commercial basically starts the same way, which is long aerial shot, establishing a beautiful, sort of scenery situation, car winding through hills or desert. And that doesn't work in digital because when you are watching a piece of content or an ad on this screen, that shot doesn't really just do it for you, right? And so it actually, when it comes to creating video content, they're actually having a lot of the rules that apply to like traditional video content or advertising, it doesn't apply. So my clients all wanted the same thing. They wanted better performing creative, they wanted more efficient media, and they wanted it scale. And by scale, I mean, when you're an advertiser, think about this concept that I talked about of micro moments. The way you used to do this is you would make your TV ad, and you run your campaign in a certain campaign window, and that's great. But if you're thinking about sort of a micro-moments approach, you actually have to change the way you're operating as a team. You have an opportunity to insert your brand in many, 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 many micro-moments. So you're at home in the past, you were watching a TV, and watching the TV and an ad comes up. Well, that's great. That may or may not have been a moment that was interesting or important to you, and the client, the marketing team, have done their job. Great. Wrong. Think about how many times you touch your phone or a device throughout the day, how many times you have that moment of intent and context and immediacy. Those are micro moments that brands can be intercepting. And that means that you have to change how you're making creative and buying media so that you can do your job at a broader scale. So I want brands to intercept every moment possible. I was using the example of Sick Kids. I was talking to a friend whose child was at Sick Kids and is better now. And he said to me, tell me about what was that like when you first sort of went there. He's like, yeah, we met with the doctor and they tell you what the diagnosis is, and the first thing you do when you leave the room is you cry. And the second thing you do is you reach for your phone and you start looking and researching and trying to find things out.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's a perfect example where, Sick Kids is one of the most trusted brands, if not the most trusted brand in Canada. And that's a great opportunity for them as content marketers to say, great, here's what you can take away with you and watch in your own time. And here's a moment. That's a perfect example of a micro moment that they can intercept.